Hi there, everybody. Welcome to our 14th week of the term. So, 3 weeks left, this, next, and then the following week, excuse me, will be our final week. And that final week, the 16th week, we're going to be expecting your research essay to be submitted. So, that research essay is devoted to the play we are reading, the importance of being earnest. You all had an annotation activity for the first act that I will grade this week. Still have one class's short stories inspired by the Metamorphosis to read and grade this week. The short story assignment, which was our third analysis essay, even though it's not really an analysis per se, was really geared to get grades up. You can kind of have fun with a creative short story, just as long as it's somewhat, it doesn't have to be obvious necessarily, but as long as I can make a connection between your story and the metamorphosis. So you're supposed to follow a track of Gregor kind of crafting a story based on his journey from the metamorphosis, or Greta, his sister, wherein you craft a short story based on her progress throughout the story. So I did finish one classes. They were mostly quite good and enjoyable. Three, but there were a few that were maybe just a short story without any meaningful connection to the novella, to the metamorphosis. So but even so, the grades are still quite high for that assignment. But if you do get a paperback and it says something like that, that's why. So what's on the table for this week? It is a discussion forum for Act 2 of the play. So if you're following along with reading, by the end of this week, you should be done with Act 2. It's also recommended that you guys annotate the play. I'm only collecting annotations or have collected them only for Act 1. But of course, annotating, as you probably know by now, is an active reader exercise. It helps you kind of locate parts in the text where you could reference back. You have marginal notes next to your annotations based on literary elements, character theme, etc. And that just helps with your comprehension of the material, but also is going to aid you in your analysis of the play. And your analysis of the play is based on one essential research question, which we've already answered in a previous journal post, I believe it was. And that question is, in what ways do 21st century relationships, or courtship, trying to date someone, parallel with the ones Wilde, our author, Oscar Wilde, is parodying or satirizing in his play? So, as you know by now, if you've gotten even through the first act, the play is all about, we have our two lead male characters who are trying to finagle their way out of certain social responsibilities. This play takes place during the late Victorian era in England, and if you know anything about the Victorian era, it's all about presentation, being prim and proper, and following the societal conventions, the norms of the day. So Wilde is kind of playing with those notions and those conventions. Wilde himself, it's not necessarily critical that you know this, but was gay. And there was, I think he was actually jailed because one of his relationships was found out. So, of course, attitudes have changed drastically over the last 100+ years. But back in Wilde's day, we're talking turn of the century, late 19th, early 20th century. Of course, attitudes were very different. And some even say that this play is through the lens of a gay man, someone who's playing with heterosexual relationships and kind of highlighting the absurdity of such relationships. That's not necessarily my opinion, and I'm not trying to push anything on you guys, but I'm just relating to you something that I have heard myself. But it's not necessarily germane to the play per se. It's just a theory. But in any case, what he is certainly doing is, playing with, these characters. Yeah, and the lengths that we go to invent new characters for ourselves so that we could get out of obligations and get the things that we actually want, the people that we want, the titles that we want, the kind of life station that we want. We employ deception and duplicity in order to do that. It's a human thing. No one is perfect. We all do this from time to time. So in a comedy, we think of comedies as funny, farcical, ridiculous, absurd, and this one certainly is. But usually by the end of a comedy, in the classical sense, from Shakespeare and then all the way before that for the ancient Greeks, comedy has a lot of chaos and role reversals and the kind of muddying of identities. But at the end, everything kind of falls into place. There's usually a wedding at the end of a comedy. I mean, think of romantic comedies, right? There's all kinds of, there's all this push and pull, a lot of conflict, external and internal conflict among our characters. But usually in the end, the lovers, are together or have a marriage. There's one comedy that is kind of bucks that trend. It's one of my favorite movies, the Breakup with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn, that came out, I don't know, 2005, 6 or so. But spoiler alert, if you haven't seen The Breakup, Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn's character were living together, were in an intimate romantic relationship, but at the end, they split up and they don't get back together, which I found kind of refreshing. But classically speaking, the end of a comedy, everything's sorted out, everything's back in its neat little place, and there's usually, the consummation of some relationship, marriage, or otherwise. So we'll see how that plays out in the importance of being earnest. And of course, there's all this fun double meaning with the name Ernest. One of the characters adopts that name, which is ironic because he's not being earnest, honest, and forthright. So we have that kind of idea of being honest, being earnest, but also it is the character's adopted name as well. So there is a lot of fun to be had reading this play. It can be difficult to track along with the different characters, the kind of the bun burying that goes on, the idea of being one person in the town and one person in the country. So that's why annotation is important for this play, so you can keep track of who's who and who is assuming the identity of this other character that has been made up. So at the end of the course, and this will be due on the 3rd of May, is our final paper. Now, the final paper is worth a quarter of your grade. I have it only like 3 pages minimum, and I'll give you guys the source. I think I have it as 3 sources too. So right now would be a good time to be looking in the Galileo databases, looking for some scholarly academic journals on the importance of being earnest, all kind of circulating around that central research question: how do today's relationships compare or contrast with the types that we find in the play? So this paper does rely on you guys to do some analysis on the play, but it also asks you to kind of broaden that out into society as a whole. So you're going to be making a text to world connection, the text being the play, and then the world being obviously the world, society, how we get along with each other today. And a lot of you had some interesting things to say in your journal articles. So for the assignment this week, due Friday, it is an engagement activity, the discussion board, due Friday, where you are looking at Act 2 and you're kind of assessing some of the plot in Act 2. The question for the discussion board prompt is in our drama folder. when you go to the discussion forum there right now, scroll down, you'll see TIOBE Act 2, abbreviation for the importance of being earnest Act 2. And it's at this point where Jack and Algernon, the jig is up, as it were, with the ladies discovering the hoax being revealed. And then I kind of give you a prompt underneath that explanation there. And then when you look at the discussion forum, when you click Create Thread, it'll give you the word count. I think I have it at 100 words for an initial post. Let's see here. 100, 150 words for an initial post, but also that same amount to another classmate's post. So with discussion forums, if you don't do both posts, the highest you can get is an 85. All right, so you want to make sure, if you want full credit, to do both posts. So that's all the work that we have for this week, that discussion forum. But again, it's highly recommended that you guys start doing some initial research, centering around that research question for our final paper. And there'll be another assignment next week, and then our final paper. There's just a few things left, and also our student learning outcome quiz, the SLO quiz. That is now open and will close, I think, May 3rd as well, that Friday. And the SLO is a quiz on point of view, so narrative perspective, first person, second person, and third person point of view. Third person point of view, there's limited third person point of view, where the narrator is telling a story and it only reveals information going on in the protagonist's head. Third-person omniscient point of view is when the narrator is telling a story, but the narrator is privy to all the characters' internal thoughts. Of course, the pronouns used there, he, she, or it, they. Second-person point of view, you get up, you go to school, you go to class. And then, of course, first person is I. All right, so that is available to you guys as well in lessons and assignments, the SLO quiz. It's the third thing from the top there. I do recommend that you guys, in the announcements for this and last week, I provided you a little PDF on point of view. I recommend that you guys look at that before taking the quiz. The quiz, I think I have it as a homework assignment, so it is calculated into your final grade for the term. So you want to make sure that you're prepared to take that quiz. All right, I hope you guys had a nice spring break. So we just got a few weeks left here of our term. If you need any help or anything, shoot me an email. It's kind of a bonkers time for me too, guys, because my wife and I are moving back to Georgia in June. I got the year getting wrapped up with my middle schoolers, and I too am now taking a course, so I have homework to do as well to renew my teaching certification. So this is all to say your patience is appreciated. I'm trying to get grades back to you in a timely fashion. It doesn't always work out in that way, just because I have such a scattershot, kind of menu of things that I have to address each and every day with all the other endeavors going on right now. So just wanted to impress that upon you as well. So yeah, we're wrapping it up here, guys, and stay strong, keep your head up, plow forward, and let me know if I could help you in any way. Peace. Bye.